Okay, we'll start. Do we have any guests? Would you introduce yourself? You have 2 minutes if you'd like to speak to us. That would be great.
Surely. My name's Sue Wyatt. I'm president of the board for A Place to Stay. We are the United Way agency that coordinates the homeless response. And since January 1, we have staffed an office here to kind of be backup for staff, a resource for staff in the library when they have inquiries about homelessness. So just wanted to be available for questions.
You do a wonderful job.
Appreciate it, but glad to answer any questions anyone has.
Okay. No. Well, hey, welcome, Jesus.
I didn't volunteer for anything, did I?
You did, actually.
You're doing it all.
Let's not start that now. Sorry.
Okay, last month's meeting, I did a very quick introduction of 2 new board members. I wanted to do a little better introduction this time, and they're going to be staying for the meeting. One was not elected yet, and one had to leave. So we have 2 new board members. Start with the lady first. Tim, sorry. Suzette Donovan is our latest board member, and Suzette is the assistant to the president of Maryville College and also on the planning commission for the city of Maryville. Is there something else? I didn't get a resume.
That's because it's old. So I'm also on the board of zoning appeals at Maryville City and the Downtown Design Review Board.
You're a busy person. Yeah. Okay, and we have Tim Moore, and I don't know if you saw, but Tim got elected last month or this month from Alcoa. I'm sorry, from the city. County. And so Tim is with us, and so thank you for coming and being on the board also. And Tim, what is your company?
So I work for a company called IX Systems Incorporated. They're based in San Jose, but we have a satellite office here right next to the post office, actually. We sell mass data storage appliances and boutique server builds for low-end consumer all the way up to high-end clients dealing in terabytes all the way up to petabytes of data in terms of data storage and availability across network appliances.
I'm not sure what you just said.
Yeah. Lots of hard drives.
Okay. First order of business is to look at the minutes from 17th of August. Does anyone, first of all, I hope everyone has read it and got it in their packet. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to those minutes?
I had just one simple one on let's see, page 3, the date for the preliminary interviews for the director position were the 20th and the 22nd instead of the 21st. That was the only thing I saw.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to. There was an area that I had asked for, and we're gonna get to this in the old business too, but, or actually we could do it now. In the section that it said about library gifts and a committee to be formed who could review library gifts to the library. We want to have 4 people on that committee. And we said 3 last week, but I'd like to move it to 4 and have that committee in place as soon as possible. The 4 people would be the director, a member from the foundation, a member from the Friends,
board.
and a member for the board.
Each of
So,
these are board members.
and the reason,
It's a Friends board member, a foundation board member.
right.
Yeah.
And so you all think about that. I would like to have this committee in place this week. And the reason for this committee is, I think we talked about it last time, is it takes the library director off the hook in case somebody wants to donate something to the library, rather than the library director saying, no, we really don't want that. She can now say, we have to send it to our committee, the committee will approve it, and then they take a long look at it and say yes or no, and then send it back to the director, and the director would then send it to the board for approval. So if that's okay, I would really like to challenge you guys to come up with a candidate. If you call Anjane and tell who it is for each of them, and Anjane, you're elected, unfortunately. And do we have a volunteer from the board? You want to do it? Okay. Fantastic, thank you very much.
Why would you have 4 versus 5 in terms of trying to get a decision?
Well, that was, all. I figured it's not gonna be a tie, I don't think. And, go ahead.
The thing is, so for instance, the library has a lot of paintings and portraits downstairs. And
upstairs.
we have each of the decision makers that might be involved. So for instance, if we have someone who typically gives $30,000 in cash, but also wants to take 100 images, then we can get the stakeholders that are involved in that process. So a member of the Friends, a member of the foundation, a member of the board, and they can discuss how, so foundation might go, yes, we need to take the cash, but it needs to be unrestricted. Friends might go, we could do something with those images. Maybe we could sell them on eBay. We could have a local art sale and raise funds that way. So then what we can do is, after those discussions, we can either meet with the donor, or the director could meet with the donor and say, okay, the committee met. We're able to take unrestricted funds for this amount to go to the foundation. As for the paintings, we don't have a place to store them here at the library, which is what has kind of happened. What we,
But I think, were you asking because of a tie in the vote?
yeah, so there really won't, it's not a,
You would have odd numbers, so
Yeah,
that's all.
it's not a tie
yeah.
breaking decision.
Either the foundation will say, yes, we could benefit from that. The Friends will say they can benefit from, if no one can benefit from it,
It's more like a right of refusal.
yes.
Yeah.
It allows you to blame the committee instead of the individual.
Do you still want the other committee, or? do
All participants.
you- Okay, there you
Thank you.
go. Thank you. That was good.
I just want to share all the fun, that's all.
Okay, moving on. I have was there anything else?
There's one
Anything
other
else?
And it prompted you to enter that, but we just need to add, because when we did discuss it, the only thing.
Say it out loud.
Okay, all right. Page 2 of the minutes on August, the August minutes, the first bullet point, we just need to add in that first sentence after the second, third comma. It was the director, a foundation member, and a board of trustees member, just so that we're accurately reflecting the discussion. That was it.
Okay, I need a motion on that
I'll make
to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
a motion to approve the minutes from the August 13th. Is that when it was?
17.
August
Close
17th,
enough. Is there a second, Susan?
with corrections.
With the corrections. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Thank you. All right, instead of having trouble today. Okay, I don't have a report, and so we'll move on to the interim director's report. Okay, all right. In your minutes is or in your packet was the sex offender policy that we had looked at. We had voted on it, and it's in your packet because it's new. We do not have it at all in our system. And so we have put it in your packet so that you will have it and you can put it in your notebook for future reference. It's not something that we'll be voting on. We've already done.
And if at any time, any of you want to review our policy, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll get you that.
Okay, Anjanae, do you want to
Okay,
jump in here?
so what is it? I want to touch base very quickly on the 21st, after submitting or after sending this board packet, which almost always happens. It was shared with me that Kathleen Christie was successful in applying for a Tennessee Arts Commission through the Friends, acting as fiduciary. So thank you very much for a January 2022 program, runs from January to March. And it is a mindfulness Mandela drawing program. So what is it? It was
It's a what?
3,000. Yeah, mindfulness Mandela program. So it's an art program where I guess they create mandalas. So
What's a Mandela? I'm sorry.
it's an interesting design that has a spiritual connotations to
They're
it.
circular. They're like the circular patterns and designs.
And they're creating them
Am I
is,
the only one that doesn't know what Mandela is?
it is created, it is something like Buddhist would do because it's a mindfulness practice. It's usually done with sand. It's art.
Oh,
just
okay.
for, yeah, so there is no, it doesn't secretly indoctrinate you in anything. Don't worry about it. It is just art. Okay. All right.
So are these gonna be on display then, or we don't know?
I can touch base with Kathleen. We can.
That's great. Anything different is fun.
Okay.
What was the amount?
Pardon?
What was the amount of the grant?
$3,000. It was not matching. It just pays for the art instructor to come in. And this is focused towards our adults, but also for seniors as well. So
Oh, it's not kids, it's adults?
it's adults.
No, Andy.
Yeah. Oh, come on, yeah. I have to say, I'd love to see every single one of you there. Okay. Okay, now going to the board packet and let's see. I'm going to do a brief, shouldn't be more than 20-minute book drop automation update and proposal this evening. But before I do that, we're also going to talk about the FOIA later. And we are going to review or discuss the review of the policies. So outside all that, was there anything in the report that you guys had questions on, wanted clarity, etc.? I can tell you that as of this morning, the community survey is at 2,806 respondents.
You know what it was the last time that it was done?
Just over 2,000.
Where were you there?
Yes, sir, we are.
And they're done, right?
It closes September 30th.
Okay. And looking at the results this morning, there are several people in this room who have not responded to it. So if you have it on your email, would you please respond to it? I'm not gonna point fingers, but it would really be nice if the board was 100%. So, and all of the trustees, so please respond to it.
I can't remember if I did it.
I know.
You did. So if you're worried, reach out to me and I'll send you the link. Okay. So, what is it?
Or we take you out in the hall.
When I call your name?
You can email the folks who didn't do it.
Yes, yes.
I think I may be one of them.
Okay, let's see. All right, so on to the proposal. Oh, did that answer, did any other questions? Or any questions? Okay, gotcha. So on to the book drop proposal. What is it? I have Al Skinner from FE Technologies with us here tonight. And Al, can you just test your sound real quick?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Al Skinner, and I'm with FE Technologies. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
And I promise you, it's a person and not Al from like, you know, what was that?
2001.
Thank you. Okay, all right, so. Excuse me. Presentation. So there was a lot of information in your board packet. Sorry, one moment. Let's see. Okay. I can't move out. If you can get that little. This one? That. And back again. There we go. Okay, so this evening I'm going to talk to you about the library RFID and automated materials handling project proposal. So here's some things that I really want to clarify, and a lot of this came from, you will notice that earlier today I shared a document with you that was for input from our staff regarding this proposal. What is it? So I want to, they helped me clarify a few things. What is it? The first one being that the implementation timeline can be decided by us, okay? The next thing I want to clarify is that absolutely no staff positions are negatively impacted by this. No one's going to lose their job. This is for the reallocation of staffing hours. Our book drop process is amazing. And I mean amazing in that we have done it the way we've done it for so long. I mean amazing in that our staff have shown up every day to do it this way. And this particular proposal is the way I can see supporting our staff the most by getting them back doing what they want to do. And that is for our adult services team that is working on digitization, that is doing adult services programs, that is the person to person. For our patron services team, that is still traditional checkout, that is making sure that you get good customer service when you have any account issue. That is making sure that the items go from the book drop off the person's account and back on the shelf. And for our children's, of course, that is for children's programming. You will see that this is to take the immense amount of time that we apply on a process that is instrumental, essential. It cannot not be done, but there's another way to do it. And this is exploring that way. Okay, so the impetus for all of this is we're in a place of opportunity, okay? Over the last several months, a day seems like a month, but there has been so much change. We have come to find that our systems and processes no longer support us the way we need them to in order for us to deliver on our mission and to deliver our library services the way that we, as very proud and dedicated librarians and library staffers, you know, we have a certain quality that we want to continue. And so I want to just talk about, you know, put back on everyone's radar. We have moved from a staffing level of 52 to 40, and that's once all our part-time position or all our positions are filled. Okay. This has been preempted because of COVID. COVID hit and we realized that our revenues were going to be negatively impacted in a serious way. So we had to look at, and the board asked the administration, the library director, to look at ways to make this sustainable. So we knew how to absorb possibly a $150,000 reduction in our revenues. So that was one of the motives of one of the big changes. I want to clarify that staffing is to just show you that the change in our staffing levels means that the processes and structures we had in place to deliver library service don't work with the current level of staff that we have. I take that back. They work, but our staff are exhausted. They are stressed. And because we're still in a pandemic and they have face-to-face interactions with people up to 50 times a day, depending on where they're located, they're fearful. So what is it? Also, this meeting, we're going to be discussing about if we're moving back to 70 hours per week. Sorry, that is 69.5. 69.5 hours per week. And currently we're operating at 57. So this is a huge change. So we're seeing a reduction in staffing levels, and possibly very soon here we'll be experiencing a significant increase in hours. Then what we want to do is we want to match the community's needs for our services. At the end of this month, we are wrapping up our community survey, which we do every 4 years. I am basing this that last bullet point on what we saw from the previous survey. And that was, outside of the collection, the #1 reason people came here was for our staff, because our staff were highly trained. And yes, that has an expense to it, but it is something that our community is telling us that's a good place to put your money. So the main thing here is now we've got to match it with staff capacity, because staff capacity changes when you have such a drastic change in staffing levels. So here, our goal with this whole project is to make sure that we achieve and succeed the delivery of our mission, which is by empowering residents to think, act, and aspire by providing opportunities to connect to our community, participate in lifelong learning, and explore the world at large. I'm going to take this over here and hopefully it'll reach. Okay. Ooh, and here we go. Okay. So one of the ways we're doing this is by automating our circulation. So this is one process. The benefits of this is that it's going to allow us to put staff, as I mentioned earlier, back where, honestly, where they want to be. They want to be engaging with the community. They want to make sure that they are delivering top-notch customer service. And it's hard to do that when the tasks that really don't need to be done by a person anymore can now be done. If we can get this technology in, it would be the difference between handwriting everything and using a computer. Just opens up the world, it changes it all. It allows staff to go back and, or to have hours reallocated to what their overall job description is. One of the things that the board would like us to consider many moons ago, they wanted us to build programming back up. We're programming as much as our staff can handle with all the other tasks we have in place. So this will bring a significant of hours back into that. Materials will be returned to the shelves quicker, you guys, and you'll hear me say this probably a little bit later in the piece. But just so you know, we did a time trial, and it took one person to pick the books off the floor, check them in, inspect them for any damage. What is it? If it was a DVD, you'd lock it, or you'd open it, check to make sure it was in there, lock it, and then you do a sort. Then it moves to the temporary shelves and is reshelved, and then it goes to the other shelf. We could do 100 in 45 minutes. This technology can do 1,500 in the same 15. Yes, 1,500 in 45 minutes. We receive 1,600 books on average per day. So you'll see those numbers again. Then the next thing is that year over year, we're going to see the reinvestment of those funds, or the savings of those funds, so that within a 5-year period, we're going to see over 5 FTEs put back into our staffing hours, if you will. And then what is it? There is a high level of accuracy in the check-in process because of the way that we're doing it. When you put something down on the scanner, it runs through it, it checks it in, it arms the item, meaning it turns the alarm back on, and then it sorts it. Okay, so keep those benefits in mind.
How do you guys do sorting right now?
Pardon?
How do you guys do sorting right now?
Manually.
Okay, so that's a big piece of it.
Yes, yes. So we're going to turn this into this. We're going to turn the hours that we spend on the book drop process into programming.
Is there a way to turn the lights back, just so we can?
Take a nap.
Thank you. Okay, and so to be full transparency, there is another component that could be added to this, but for the sake of this project, we wanted to implement something that would cause no change to the building. It would exist and operate within our existing footprint. And so a year or two down the track, we could add something else, which would again up the return on investment on it. So this is a technology that we can build on and adjust as our needs grow. Okay.
But you would still have to but you're still gonna move forward with Chris's, the C2RL design of updating.
So
that.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. I was like, this is not replacing that.
That's right. They're completely separate projects. I do want to say that when that is done, if a decision was decided to, and this is one of the reasons why we chose this iteration of the proposal, it allows us, if you as a board decide, you know what, we want to get rid of the book drop completely, we can then take the system that we have in proposal here, we can buy a external induction unit, which is where you return the books through the book drop, and it can connect directly to this. And so there will be a staff-led feed and then directly from the book drop. So there's ways that this can still grow and meet future needs, but that's a separate project. So, all right, so I want to show you a little bit about each one, and they're only a minute. So this is how staff will run items through the sorter. That's simple.
So staff is still picking it up off the floor and feeding it in this machine, is that?
At this stage, yes. Yes, in this solution. That's exactly right.
Wait.
This is showing you the individual sorter modules rather. So the book comes in, it gets scanned, it's scanned underneath, and then it's sent to the conveyor, and the conveyor directs it into the appropriate bin. And the bins can be refined, going into software, changing it up. This is the self-checkout.
So which one are we quoted for in that one?
The desktop.
Okay. Where you can adjust the height or,
The desktop will go on the desktop of that, so it'll be the height of the service desk. Sorry, there we go. Okay, all right. Yes. Okay. So what is it? In the proposal, you will see that there are actually two components of this. The first component is an investment of $66,780, and that covers the RFID conversion and implementation. That means that all 209,000 of our items has an RFID tag placed in them. And in that process, in that price tag, There are 3 self-checkout stations with DVD unlocks included. What is it? The self-checkout stations can also be check-in stations. So again, there is further opportunity on how to use this tool once our team figures out what is the best way to deliver this to our community. It includes new gates, so for the front and the back door, and it includes a bi-directional people counter, which right now we use a different vendor for that. So there's savings in that itself, not to mention we have concerns that our front door gate might be self-retiring soon. This includes delivery, install, and training. So they're going to come out and they're going to help us project management. It's not like, hey, thanks for the 66,000, see ya. They help us by designing a plan with us and helping us maintain the momentum of it. The second investment is once everything is RFID tagged, we will get the 8-bin automated materials handling system with the staff induction. So what is it? You'll notice in your board packet, there is an image of what that looks like. And you'll see that, yes, Susan, you are correct in that we will still have to pick the books up off the floor. The reason we went with that is because with keeping the building as is, it would be an additional $24,000 investment in something, actually, no, more than that. Maybe $36,000 investment because we'd have to go from the stretch of the book drop and have a conveyance, 2 conveyance models to even bring us to what is in your proposal. The thing is, and the reason we didn't go with that one is because another project you guys have heard of about actually addressing the book drop room. In some of the pictures, that room is completely gone. If that were the case, then all we do is buy the external induction unit and connect it. Okay, that way we're saving $24,000 on technology that it could be 3 years till that project is complete, 3 months, but we've saved the money by cutting it out for this proposal. Yes.
So the tags that the RFID tags that you have to put, is that
Every single,
someone will have to add
yes.
those tags each, how long do you think that will take?
So there's a few options to this. If, and we will be getting to that, but the statistics and the scenario that FE Technologies provided us said that a 2-person team working 7 hours could tag 3,450 tags per day. Okay. I was having a conversation with Kathy. Sorry, I always love to call her Kathleen. So Kathy, and she made a very good recommendation. And again, this is where I said that the board has a choice on how we implement. In the project overview, I gave you a sample timeline because I wanted to show you how long this could take, and it's a very conservative one. With Kathy's suggestion, the delivery of the RFID tags and the self-checkout, we could, is mid-December. We could close the library for person-to-person library service. We could still keep curbside going. I talked with Al. We could then take our staff and come up with 15 teams, in which case it would take us 5 days. Now, I would like it to be, if we're closed, we close for the entire week so that staff can breathe, bond a little. We can spend time tagging. We can also spend time because we're going to have these self-checkout, but during that week, we can have staff interact with the DVD checkout stations. and they can get a feel, they can weigh in on where they think they need to be, how they need to be manned, how that will then change other processes that we have in-house. So if we don't go that way, we are guessing that it'll take about 58 days.
And with board volunteers, it will even go faster.
So again, Kathy had that great suggestion. She was like, you know, this could be a great time for board members who are in town and available. They could come in and be part of a tagging team. They get to interact with staff. They get to see what the process is. And, you know, it's kind of a win-win. Everybody feels good about it.
Could you involve the friends and pair a staff person who knows how to do it with somebody else, a volunteer, and double that number?
Well, so yes, we could. What is it? We are only purchasing 4 circulation assistant pads. Al is doing his best to ensure that we can borrow the 11 for that period. But I'm sure you all know about technology. As soon as you break that seal, it can be hard to sell it. So he's looking to see what he has on inventory, like in inventory, that he can loan us. And he said that he would loan it free of charge. So, but absolutely, the more circulation pads we have, and this is again a 7-hour day. We work 9-hour days with a 1-hour lunch. So you can see this is very conservative. Okay. I want you to know that there is after that first year of maintenance, after that first year of install and the warranty period and all that, there's a maintenance fee that the library will gladly absorb, and it's just over, just at $12,000.
Should mention the cost of the tags versus what we're doing now.
Gotcha. So currently we have tattle tape in the, well, I put it in my very special file papers. Okay. Currently we have tattle tape. That is the security element within our items. That runs us
49 cents a book.
49
Baker and Taylor to provide it and put it in for us.
Okay.
versus 14 cents.
Well, that is for us putting in, but moving forward, Baker and Taylor has options for us. And they are, and Kathy will handle this part of the presentation.
Okay, so you have a couple of different options. If we send them the tags, they can put them in the books for us for 39 cents. If we want them to link it to our system, which is another part of this, you have to actually connect it to the book in the catalog system, then that's a 79 cents.
So at that means when a book arrives to us, correct me if I'm wrong, that means we can then take it and put it on the shelf.
Ready to go.
It's ready to go. So
So that, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Is that them putting the RFID things on the books versus our staff doing it?
So as we buy new books,
Yeah.
what we
Our
could,
vendor would do all that for us. They
Yes.
would arrive, tagged,
We
and
have that done now.
so
So
the,
you would have to take the 5 days for staff to put.
oh no, we
No,
would
no, no,
still,
no.
that's a separate issue. This is only for
That's
new
just-
items.
So and then it costs 14 cents for the RFID. So is what the quote says. So it's that plus the 14 cents.
So, okay, so they're very different sides. The 14 cents that you're seeing in the quote, that is for all existing materials that we go through.
200,000.
What we're sharing with you now is, one, what the current cost is. That's the 49 cents with the tattle tape, and that's all we get. 49 cents tattle tape installed. And yeah, it's tattle tape installed. We could pay 79 cents, so for 30 cents more, it is tagged, it is, each RFID stores a barcode. We could have them, yeah, we could have that barcode, or we could have that book arrive to us, RFID tag with the barcode in it. So we scan to check it in.
Yeah.
And it's ready to go.
we don't have to link it. They link it to our system for us.
So again, and that's not even part of the ROI that I shared with you in the board packet.
I think that my concern, I love it. I think it's great. But when we talk about removing book fees and stuff, we really need to take in fines and lost books, the consideration of our price per book is going up considerably. It's about 75 cents on top of the cost of the book, right?
Yes. That's right. It's
Well,
79 cents on
I mean,
Not
it's-
really.
no,
it's
because you're not
30.
paying, yeah. you're
It's
not
30
paying
cents
41
more
cents.
expensive. And that's
Right.
if we decided to go with it. There are cheaper options, or we could just do it all ourselves, but the amount of time it would save us, again.
Yeah. I just want to think through lots of materials, or, if that is an issue, the amount we're investing in, the actual pieces. But I mean, I don't think we lose that many books. It's from the report you guys shared, is that we have some, but not a ton.
Actually, and I'm glad what a beautiful segue. Actually, we found out this past week, right? Lee Yoder, our accounting clerk, was notified by Unique Management, our collection vendor. And they have an award called Coming Back into the Fold. And we got such a high percentage of people paying off their fines and fees that went to collection that we've received an award for it. And I'll get the numbers for you. 89%. Sorry. So what is it? Just wanted to share that.
Yeah,
as well.
that's great. I think that answers the concern of losing the technology in the books.
Now, I'll tell you what, the RFID is a very sensitive technology. It can be adjusted, so it's not, but when you walk through those gates, we're gonna know, because if it sounds off, it's gonna tell us what book is causing it to sound off. I mean, that's great. We can say, okay, you didn't check out, or you missed checking out, the long walk.
Send the dogs.
In regards to the reliability and serviceability of the solution, what is the estimated lifetime of the actual technology? And is there an estimated number of hours or days that it would be offline per year, per month, for maintenance or fixing?
So this maintenance cost is what covers that. So if it ever were to go down, then we would have our processes in place, just as we do now when we lose internet. So the library service would be slowed around that process, but we could still maintain it. The lifetime of the technology, I did not ask that. However, I have been able to reach out to other clients, and I got back, one got back to me today. They've had the software, they've had the automation materials handling system only for 3 years, but I'm thinking it's 7 to 10 years. And Al, you're welcome to chip in and answer that question.
Sure. Well, so in the RFID tag, it's encoded with what is the barcode number, right? So we're doing two things at one time with that RFID tag. We're reading the item as well as dealing with the security in one step. As far as the long-term, what's the horizon on this technology? It has become the de facto for the library world. It's fewer that libraries have the older electromagnetic because it is so labor intensive. We easily see the RFID technology, but the reason why I started with what's encoded into that tag is the barcode number. And so it's passive technology. So it's not like it has a battery in the RFID tag. It's read by all of the different devices, like the automated materials handling, the security gates, the self-checkout units, inventory ones and such. Those are the devices that had the ability to read those RFID tags. So its lifespan is indefinite. I personally have been in this library space working with libraries and had my first RFID site a little over 20 years ago now. That RFID tag and the frequency that it is that is transmitting its signal at is 13.56 megahertz, and that is regulated by the FCC. It is going to continue to give up its identity for as long as the tag is adhered to the book, and we guarantee the tag for the life of the the book that it's originally placed on. So it's designed for indefinite, and unless it's damaged, it's going to continue to do what it's been built to do. The self-checks and other devices like automated materials handling, maybe they'll get better, maybe they'll get faster. So those are things to consider. But the RFID tag technology is here to stay.
Can you comment on the lifetime of the hardware?
So the lifetime of the hardware, and especially for the automated materials handling, our industry, it really sees that technology as an over 10-year type scenario. Self-checks and devices like that are going to be in the 5 to 8 year range. And, because these are PCs inside some of those devices, they are built today with the ability to upgrade the operating system inside the self-check without even having to upgrade the self-check as a whole. So self-checks and devices like that, I would say 5 to 8 years. The security gates are going to be also in the 10-year category. The gates that you have downstairs have probably been there closer to 15 and almost 20 years. So I'm just trying to give you frame of reference on that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And did you say earlier you estimated the 5 years to earn the money back that we spent up front initially?
So no,
No.
okay, so in the RO,
Okay.
this is not in the presentation, it is in your board packet. I'm sorry, Anna, for making it. We will be, in the first year of implementation, we will be only $4,493 and change short of recouping all our costs. In the second year, we can expect a net savings of $76,269 and change, and then it progresses each year. In our first year, we can expect 1.691 full-time equivalents to come back for reallocation. So that's equivalent about 67 hours could come back available to reallocate amongst staff. And then each year that grows. And the reason that grows is because you'll notice, so your ROI is available to you right after the diagram or the schematic of what the 8-bin system looks like. The each year from year 1 to year 5, and we use the figures, year 1 is what our circulation was annually last year. Year 5 is, believe it or not, 1,000 and change. Maybe, okay, 980 items below what we did our last year before COVID hit. So what that's showing you, and there was a growth rate of 4.25% each year. So if that doesn't show you how going from 52 to 40, and I'm including in that 40 our maintenance team, the admin team, the people currently involved in this process, there are over 19 individuals, and they're not dedicated because it is, oh, we got an opening, there's a sickness, who's available to step in? So for an hour, it might be me. For 3 hours, it could be Cynthia. Some days, lucky Brennan might catch 6 hours broken up. So we are, on average, we have 19 full-time equivalents involved with the process, okay? On average, those 19 individuals contribute 3 hours plus of their work week to this process. So at the end of year 5, where we're still not to where we were pre-COVID in terms of circulation, annual circulation numbers, we're experiencing 5.13 FTEs back into our allocated hours, reallocated hours. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. So, okay, so again, I told you I'd touch base on this again. We did our own time trial where for 45 minutes, we timed how long it would take to completely process to the point of the first sort 100 items. And it took one staff member to do 100 items, 45 minutes. The machine handling can handle 1,500 in the same amount of time. On average, we have approximately 1,600 items returned per day. In the first year, 67.64 hours returned for allocation. And then each year that builds, as that circulation grows, we're going to experience an additional 34.4 hours. It's pretty amazing. So at that, we get to the timeline. So I mentioned a much shorter timeline. This timeline is building off of what was included in your board packet. Okay, because I hadn't talked to Kathy before the board packet went out. And when the good idea came, I was like, oh, just run this by. So what this is showing is tonight, if this is successful and the proposal is approved, we will take it to the foundation board. What is it? On our last conversation, there was consideration. Angela was going to ask the foundation board if they would consider meeting later this week. Yeah.
Sooner.
Yeah. And so what is it? We would bring this either this presentation or just the request sheet or proposal, which you also saw in your packet. From there, if they approve it, we will give a verbal approval to Al and his crew, and that just starts the clock running. So means they're going to start building that technology or working their magic. We can expect 6 to 8 weeks for the delivery of training and tagging, and that's for the RFID only. So around mid-December is when we would start receiving the tagging and the technology to implement that, the RFID, to start that conversion. At that time, then the board has a choice. We could, in the mid-December, go for 1 week to curbside service, online programmings, what is it? But we have staff available for that 7-day period to completely convert our collection. And that would be every single item. If we don't do that, then we can complete, or we can have an expectation of completion for late March, early April. Okay. Then what is it? Once that is completed, so this is why it is so important as these lead times. Al can't do anything until we get in a verbal, and then once that verbal, that 6 to 8 week and that 16 to 18 week time period or clock starts. And so what is it? We are looking at mid-April or April for the delivery of the 8-bin system. Okay. And then we expect fully implementation rollout by June or July of 2022. It takes time. However, if we decided to do the closure in December, our numbers are very low anyway. It's Christmas. And this is probably a week before or after, a week or two before. What is it? And so in all fairness, we would need volunteers. We would need any board member who would like to, because we won't have all 36 staff. Some of them will probably be taking to it, and rightly so, they've earned it. But over that 7-day period, we can definitely come up, because we do have honor scholars. And so the two lead teams, and I shouldn't even really say that, Kathy and Lisa will be one team, and Anna and I will be another. And in this example, and as other staff get involved, we can train them, we can show them how to do it, and then it can slowly, we can go through the entire collection that way. This does not mean that we have to go the longer route, because during that 7-day closure, staff will have one full week to, and Al, correct me if I'm misinterpreting this, okay? We'll have one full week of freedom to go up to that self-checkout, check in, check out, find out the glitches, figure out what our processes need to be. And honestly, I would probably like to take the desktops and not even put them out until maybe the first or second week of January. Because then the staff have a whole month and we can really save ourselves a lot of emotional angst. We can move slow and breathe, because I'm sure you guys know this, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. We can take our time with this. Either way we do it. But if we did the closure, that would be my preference, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay, any questions on this timeline? Which is an example.
Not on the timeline, I think it's a great idea. Just from the procurement side of things, YFE Technologies, and what was the process? How did we get here in comparison to other companies? I'm assuming there's other companies, and I know there's the logic behind it. I just like them to be aware why this company, you know,
Versus others?
Yeah.
What is it? Well, I have to say that our IT, our PC specialist, our IT guru here on staff, I had a conversation with Al, and she was so impressed by what the technologies could do for us. She brought it to my attention, and we looked at it that way. In comparison, I have not gone through the process with other vendors. I can tell you, and you can, they're Australian based. And to me, that meant they knew their stuff. And I'll explain this. Living in Australia for 13 years, I've experienced public libraries in Australia. They have a national system. They have, where you go into their library, your card does everything. You can put money on it. You can check out with it. You can book a room with it. You can check things in, check things out. And then they have people. So you really have the best choice. You can get involved as and when you need to. The RFID has been in place there. Oh, I haven't been there in 10 years. So my first library experience there was probably the first year I was there. So this is 19 years old. And so this is their sole business. This is, Al, correct me if I'm wrong on this. This is what they do. But in full transparency, I did not compare, I did not shop around.
Is there any other library locally that uses them? And I know you reached out to somebody else, right?
So what is it? Al provided with me, and I'm willing to share that with the board. 2 automated handling system references, and I believe it was 4 RFID conversion references. I spoke to one today, lunch break, and this was her input. So she works at Virginia Beach, or she worked at Virginia Beach. She is the IT specialist. She has direct experience with the V5 self-checkout station. She said the install went very well. She said that the issues that they had is they went with the pedestal version, And at that time, they didn't have or didn't decide to go with the adjustable height one. So their patrons have complained about, it's a little bit hard to get up there. Sometimes it's too high if you're in a wheelchair or a child. And there was this other instance where you'd have a mother and you'd have their children, and the clutch would be very tight together, and they'd all hold their books. And as soon as you put a library card down, it would put all the books on one card. Not really a problem. You know how they fix that? They tone down the sensitivity of the RFID tag. So what is it? They have had the RFID tag implemented for 3 years. They had said that physical components, replacement issues that they have with that, there was only one, and that was the lights or the halo in the self-checkout. Early in the piece, they had to replace that a few times, but she said, I think they've nutted that out, so it's a non-issue anymore. Is that correct, Al? Al?
You're correct. You're correct.
Excellent. She said, and these are her words, their support is excellent. Their aftermarket, they don't, yes, ma'am.
Is there support here in the US or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So training isn't them coming from Australia?
Not very long.
Right, okay.
And unfortunately, we can't fly.
It's awesome accent,
Ask you who his competition is and how does it compare to?
Al, can you talk to us a little bit about your major competitor in this field and how FE Technologies compares with them?
Sure, sure. And thanks for your question. You know, I have had a unique experience in having been in this sphere, not outside of it, not kind of, but squarely in this sphere, working with libraries. And I have probably worked with and implemented well over 100 library implementations of this technology in various parts of the country, primarily in the West. Grew up in Austin, always wanted to get back, and so now I cover the Southeast for FE Technology. So I've had well over 20 years of understanding, you know, the biggest players and also FE Technologies, and I've been very impressed with FE Technologies with the broad range of products. And I must say that one of the key ingredients about FE's success is that every dollar that we dedicate to R&D goes into building better RFID outcomes for libraries. We don't do anything else. We don't do ebooks. We don't do PC reservation. I mean, you know, this is what we do, and that dedication has yielded a real awesome suite of products. And we've just hit, you know, the top of the iceberg with, you know, the different solutions that we can deploy to help this library. So broad scope, dedication, you know, pricing is always important. There is no doubt. And one of the things that I'm extremely pleased about is the fact that in every category, we're probably going to be about a third less than everybody in this marketplace because we are a growth mode company. And I think that says a lot for where we are today.
Al, your last name is Skinner, right?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. How long have you been with the company, if you don't mind the question?
Sure. I've been with FE not quite a year, but I was with 3M, the same company that has the detection system downstairs, through all of its iterations for those 20 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In that year, how many implementations have you done for other libraries, if I may ask?
Personally, this will be my first implementation with FE Technologies. Of course, FE has done about 54 over the last couple of years here in the States. And as Anjanae mentioned, we are the biggest player, I dare say, in Australia and Asia for that matter. So company-wise, that's a different story. You know, COVID affected all of us in different ways, and more, you know, some more than others. And definitely, I was a victim of the downturn during COVID. but I have many personal references if the library wishes to pursue those as well.
Sorry, I don't mean to be like, like with the questions, it just kind of puts everything in perspective. So I really do appreciate your, honestly, and just kind of letting us know about all that information. So I appreciate it.
What is it? The other thing that was shared regarding my conversation with Ms. Rudisil is that the Virginia Beach Library still offers traditional checkout. So, the implementation of this doesn't mean that people go away. It just means we're positioning our people to interact with our patrons more frequently and in a better quality way, a higher quality way. I have to admit, she asked, she was like, so tell me a little bit about your library. When I told her our annual circulation numbers, her jaw dropped. She said, wait a minute, you do all this by hand now? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she was like, okay. So this is not a new technology. It will be new to us. It will revolutionize, and I don't really like to use such a powerful word, but it will change the way we do business in a positive manner. And I believe that, I know we've got lots of changes coming up. I know we've got new leadership. However, the starting of the clock is the big thing, and staff are tired. So please consider that.
Now, one of the concerns that I may have is 6 months down the road, are we gonna find something a lot cheaper than what you're talking about right now? And do we have any kind of a price guarantee on this?
I really doubt that you're going to find that. The pricing that's been provided is as aggressive as I have seen. Let me give you an example, right? I came from the biggest player in this arena for most of those 20 years, right? The self-check cost was almost twice as much. The cost of service was easily over twice as much. And, so as the market has changed, there has been, I use the word iterations, and, that has produced a little bit, instability in that marketplace. But because they are, spread out, they've got big costs, and that has a lot to do with their mindset, right? So there's been a lot of companies that have been king of the pile for a lot of the years, and they sit on top of that pile. And if that's one thing that I think is really different, is our growth attitude. So will you find a better price? I really doubt it ever. That if you look at all the different categories, not only the outright cost, but the ongoing maintenance cost of the products that we're talking about, add them all up, you're not going to find it better.
Okay, I like the sorting system. What I'm curious about is the self-checkout. Is there a demand there from our folks, or what's the staff time? It's kind of hard to project the staff time on that because you don't know how we're actually going to use it. I personally frequent and use all the time, but like I go to Dunkin' Donuts across the street and no one's touching that system. Everyone's at Kroger still goes through, where folks check them out. So I'm curious.
Self-checkout in the grocery store all the time.
I do too, but you still see people lined up,
You know that at the end of the day, that's what everybody needs, because it's production.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and
I'm just curious if we, is there an option to just do the sorting, and do we want self-checkout? Was the demand there?
so the self-checkout element is $18,000 in the $66,000 price tag. And what is it? What we are envisioning is, so patron services was the department. I think that it's fair enough to say that has been most affected by the reduction of our staffing levels. Okay, they went from 27 at its highest to 10. That includes part-time and full-time in both those numbers, correct? Yes. Okay, so nearly a 50% over, a 50% cut in staffing levels for them. We, during COVID, we went to the checkout service, which cost us, I think it was $1,800, $1,900. And I'm kind of, we were amazed, and not in a nice way. The self-checkout, you could use another computer on, but we have to have a staff behind it, making sure that the person is using it right. With the RFID checkouts here, yes, there's still a learning curve, but they flash bright lights. Red means it's out of paper. Blue might mean that there's an issue with the account. Green means all systems go. And if we have two on what is currently the checkout side and then we put all our people on the other side, then that means we're very clear on one, the types of services that we can handle. We have a concentration of people to act as support, which is now very critical. And what is it? They can look up and they will see visual cues as how everyone's doing. This self-checkout is also a check-in. So, dependent on how our staff feel about it and how our needs change through time, we could put two on the self-checkout in. Maybe we put one where the little drop inside where you return things. And maybe the patrons check it in for themselves because then they know. And then they put it in the box. And then we run it through the sorter so it can divvy it up. There are many ways that we can use this technology. That's one of the things we'll know more as we experience the technology.
Do you know of any other systems around?
I mean, I'm sure larger systems. I haven't asked about other level 5 libraries. None in our region that use, no. But they have an odd, it's hard to compare the two because their structure is with two like older homes that have been renovated and I don't know that they would even have, the structure would be difficult to run that kind of system. Now, the New State Library and Archives at Nashville has an automated retrieval system and that goes both ways, I believe. So it's got a robotic system that retrieves with an arm and sorts all the things and does all that kind of stuff.
And that's nothing close to what we're getting.
It's a super, but it has to house archival materials and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's a major system.
And guys, really, if you're ever in the area, check it out. What is it? They put a shelf in a bin, and then the bin is like, imagine a medicine cabinet, like the old spice rack cabinets with drawers all the way in, except it's probably underground or you can't see it. And then there's a retrieving arm and you say, I would like Charlotte's Web, and it will go and say, that's in box A3, and it'll go and it'll grab the box, bring it down, take it to the staff member. The staff member will go, Charlotte's Web, and then you check it out.
Yeah, it doesn't.
We're not asking for that.
Yes, it's highly complicated.
I got one more question about the annual maintenance. Is there a locking period for that cost, or how often prices can fluctuate? So is there a guarantee as far as that price?
We can address that. And the typical verbiage is that it will not increase more than 5% per year. And I think we can lock it in for up to 3 years right from the get-go.
Did I hear 10 years?
No. No, you didn't. No, but even that 5% after the first 3-year period is, only the consumer price index is what we use as a benchmark. So what you see today is not going to change for the first 3 years, and can be written as part of the contract to not exceed more than a 5% gain year over year after year 3.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions before I ask for a motion to accept the proposal?
I should clarify, Cleveland Bradley has RFID. They have RFID technology, they just don't have the automated sorter, and they have self-checkout as well, so.
Okay. Let me thank Al, thank you very much. What is it? I will keep you posted on decisions, and
Thank you for your time and consideration.
any last questions for Al before he says goodnight? Al, thank you. I'll be in touch, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, in your packet, there is a motion, or there's a proposal for funding going to the foundation. If you all will take a look at that. Hopefully you've seen it. What I would like to have is someone to make a motion that we accept this proposal of $151,267 and forward it on to the foundation for funding. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I will, so move.
Is there a second? Okay, now, we're open for some discussion. Is there any discussion now, any additional discussion?
The only thing that makes me nervous is that, this is the only company without seeing any other ones. I would love to see, and I know this is putting a lot on the stuff, but if we can get even just verbal, quotes from other companies, just to make sure that we're in the right ballpark.
Because obviously you always get good.
You can Google it rather quickly and other names come up.
Yeah, as far as getting
The
contacts
actual
in.
quotes, yeah.
I don't think that's a bad.
And that just kind of, that's a lot of money. And the biggest thing for me is that we're making a commitment to this company long-term. So the last thing we want to do is, just make sure that would make me feel a lot more
Okay,
comfortable.
I think that's a fair request. I hate to ask you to do that, but I think with other companies out there, and Al said there were other companies out there. I think. Hmm?
He didn't mention their name.
No, he didn't.
He
but-
did say 3M, that's where he worked at.
I don't think it will take that much effort to find out one or two companies to give us some additional cost estimates.
So, and I know it puts a lot on the staff, and this is a very specific quote for what we're asking, but just.
So are you asking me to take the proposal that he did and share it with
No,
other?
no,
I'm
we don't want to do that.
Because-
We're saying-
Well, no, and the reason I say that is because that's the only way you're really gonna know.
Yeah, you can place an RFI out and just take the components of what you presented, with like a sortation, self-checkout, and you
You've
don't
got
have
the
to
drawing.
share the exact proposal.
Basically, the same way that you went to him saying, we want to do this, then you could, couple bullets, kind of like, what we're talking about.
competing quotes from other vendors.
That what I'm sorry.
And see, that's gonna be the thing, we're asking for competing quotes, and this isn't an RFIP. Request for proposal, from other bidders on the job.
We're not bidding it out.
Yeah,
What
we're
you're
not
asking
bidding it out,
for
and
is
I'm,
information.
But should we, I guess is the question, when you spend.
well, so
Okay,
here's the thing I'd like to
and-
bring to everyone's attention. This kind of went down it looks like we're going down the same rabbit hole as the lighting project. And the lighting project was presented to the board. And again, this proposal was worked on for about 2.5 months. And I realize that you guys appreciate that. I share that because every time we're building up this case, it pushes the start date further down. Staff are getting more and more.
So did the board know that you were gonna bring this proposal today?
Yes, ma'am.
How long ago was it discussed before you brought it?
Couple
May,
of months, yeah, but I still don't, I still think that we can put this on hold. I don't think we have to put it on hold for any more than a couple of weeks at the most. Just to get a personal opinion from somebody on how much it's gonna cost. And I think that could be put to the board, and you have a motion on the floor that we can certainly put on hold right now and bring it back up.
so are you saying,
Via email.
I would even be fine, and I don't know how you feel about this, the next couple of days, how it does to keep that time frame, and just to do our, be diligent, to, our funding bodies as well, is just to make sure that just a couple of calls, and like I said, hey, how much does a system like this typically run? Because I do know, once you
they
start
will never
going,
give that
Yeah.
to me without a full proposal. It'll take, and this proposal, they'll want a schematic of the room. They'll want to know what kind of and I'm truly not trying to be difficult. I totally understand what you're saying. If you would like this to become an RFIP, then that takes, sorry.
Right, but we
an
almost have a legal obligation to do that, a fiduciary obligation to. When you
Well, if we were
spend
using,
that
if
kind
we
of
were
money-
using government funds, absolutely, there is a place in.
Although I would think the foundation might have the same expectation of
You would,
feeling a thorough comparison.
but there are other librarians on the foundation board who might know the other companies out there and what they were gonna quote. And what Anjana is saying is true. When he said it's gonna be 5% for maintenance, I laughed, because it's always 5% for
Yeah,
maintenance every
it
year. When he said we can lock it in for 3 years, it's like, yeah, we can lock it in for 3 years. And when you asked for 10, he said, no, we won't do that, right? Yeah, Anjana is right, that if you want to get comparison cost quotings, this will be another 3 months.
well, you see what, and I don't know, it just,
You could set your own RFP timeframe and if you want, you could set it to 3 weeks or 6 weeks,
Well, we have the name of 12 libraries that this was installed in.
And I can
Yeah,
share those
We
references. with
certainly
you
can
all.
call those libraries and say, hey, did you ask for
And I have
those?
called every one of them. I have only had one call back. I was supposed to meet with one early Monday morning virtually.
But surely within a week, we can get some kind of response from these libraries saying,
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
see,
yeah, we did.
I would be more interested in other companies just to give us that signing check. My biggest concern is that we're
So
locking
Logitech
in.
is one, 3M is one. Those are both older vendors or I shouldn't say older vendors. Pardon? Logan?
More established in the US.
No, I'm not even sure they're more established in the US.
The older technology.
That's the older technology name. So when I went to Colorado and I saw their automation system, they had probably a 3M because our gates, for example, is 3M and 3M used to be the brand you wanted.
For our city.
Yeah.
I think that's who Cleveland used too, but I'm not sure, but I can find that out.
And that was,
Wait, could
That's
you
like
say
a-
that again?
But does the foundation have some expectation that we've done some of this due diligence?
I don't know what questions they'll ask.
Um,
Usually we have the same after. We don't decide whether or not it's a viable project when we get a funding proposal. What we decide is, do we have the money
Fund it.
to fund it, and can we afford the money to fund it? The foundation is not in the position of making decisions about what the library should or shouldn't do. That's your job. So it's a question of if you are comfortable proposing this funding proposal, having spoken in depth with one vendor.
You see, and that's something that would make me a lot more comfortable if we had talked to other libraries. So let's not talk to the vendors, let's talk to other libraries that have the same technology, the RFID. And I know that there's a lot of libraries, and I'm sure that you can.
So Sevier County has RFID, but they don't have the automation component part of it. What is it? I was actually there when it was being implemented.
Although RFID doesn't really sound like the issue, because that sounds like that's old common technology.
Yeah.
Right.
we're all fine. We all
More
know,
than
yeah,
our-
RFID.
This company, this machine.
It's
right?
already
So
on.
that's really more of-
The
So
cost
I
of-
have called all the references and there were 4 for RFID and 2 for the automation handling. I shared with you the one response I got back and another library called me at 5:20 today. So I've
But
got
it
a
wasn't
message.
the costs, and I think that's the question. Is this a really good deal or not? So I think the question.
For a really bad deal.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what I can do is when I talk to them, I'll ask them if they know the price tag they paid. And guys, I'm really
No,
not.
no, no. Did they price it out to somebody
Yeah,
else?
did they
and
get,
get it?
did they
did
have
they
to
get-
get bids?
Did they get other bids?
I think if timing is a concern for you, the most fruitful thing to present back to us is a comparison of other prices, or else we're gonna come back together and have the same concern.
And we don't have to wait a month.
Yeah, we can special call,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, we already have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. We can do this.
It's a great project and I think we
I
all
agree with
support
the
it. And I
technology.
think that's something we
Yeah.
need. And I do appreciate, how
Prudent.
they're top of the line, but it just does sanity check, just like buying a car. You want to make sure that
That's right. And please understand, my resistance was not in actually doing it. It was the concern of how to get it where you're actually comparing the same thing. If you're buying a Lexus and comparing it to a Ford, it's not really the same. They're a car. It's true, it's a car. So I will work on that definitely. And when I've got that all together, I will include that in an email to the board and then you guys can call a special call meeting maybe.
I'll email the other regional directors and see. I mean, we have 25 level 5 libraries, just to see if they know. I have mentioned this before on a conference call and nobody said, oh yeah, we have it. So I don't suspect
that-
anybody has the full Monty of what you're asking.
Is there something that we can ask on Monday or Tuesday about this? At the
Oh,
work
I think,
session?
no, I mean, I don't think you'll, let me email the
Or
other,
is there a state resource for the bigger libraries throughout Tennessee?
and I may ask Jennifer Cowan Henderson. at
I'm gonna reach out to
TSO.
Knoxville and see if they've got
Okay,
one.
all right.
They may-
Let's-
some of
we're
them
gonna be here a
address
while.
this.
Let's move on. We're gonna table this for right now and if that's okay with everyone?
So we've got a motion and a second, but
Do
how
we
do
need to withdraw the motion or how do we need to handle it?
I think we can just leave the motion
On the table?
on the table, open.
No,
And
we can't leave it on the table.
I think
Can't we
we-
love it? We have to withdraw.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so I will withdraw my motion. Thank you. Logan.
So
Mr. Parliamentarian.
we'll table this discussion and we will do this remotely
thank you all for your time.
without another meeting so we can move on. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, Arjane, but thank you. Thank you
No
for the
worries.
presentation and all the work so far. Okay, do you have more in your report?
My report is disputed.
So, oh, the financial, any questions on the financials?
No, it looks really good.
I have to say, so we have had Chelsea Nathania come on as our hospitality service coordinator. So that means we have a true advocate and someone who has the time and focus for our cafe. And we are seeing coffee services go up. We are seeing meeting rooms go up. We are also seeing people requesting COVID protocols in those meeting rooms. So just wanted to share that little bit.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Let's see where we are here. Okay, Angela, with the book foundation, do you have any report for us?
So I'll let the paper go around the room and talk to you while it's getting to you. You can read it afterwards while it's Anjanae came to our meeting on September 10th, and she shared a likely timeline of when she thought the foundation board was likely to receive funding requests from you all moving forward, and kind of what the priority level in that was. She gave us the heads up that the top priority for the library at this point is the automated book return project that you just heard about. And after that, the priority in terms of what would be most valuable to moving forward would be the freight elevator project. She also shared that given the fact new leadership is coming on board in a very short time frame, that she does not really want to push projects through approval, rather, but she wants things to be ready for the next person to step in to be able to pick up. So this consideration may affect which proposals come to the foundation for approval this fall, because it'll depend on who the next director is and what the priorities are. So she told us what the library and the library staff feel are the top needs, but she also said that that could change depending on what the person who's hired wants to do first. She asked us to consider holding a called meeting this week in case the proposal was voted for funding. Since it wasn't, I'll go ahead and get on the email and tell everyone we're not going to do a called meeting this week. That means our next meeting for the foundation board is likely to be on October 8th, as our original scheduled meeting was. We're working to create our own gifts policy in response to the good work that you did on yours for the BCPL. We talked about a possible theme for our 2021 annual year campaign on the site. You have to wonder. It's really exciting, but it's secret, and that makes it even more exciting. And we approved our routine correspondence. So we've mostly prepared for what funding may come out of this group and started thinking about how we would deal with that in our own internal frameworks. And we started talking about our year-end campaign, which we're going to try to get out in mid-November this year.
Anjanae, were there any projects that you thought were necessary that you wanted to present to the foundation instead of holding off? I just want to make sure you're kind of not pushing projects forward if there's anything that you really felt besides the freight elevator and the sortation, which are obviously significant projects, but if there's anything.
I want to say that truly the two projects that have the greatest weight have to do with the ones that would have the greatest effect on our financial, on our staff, which is the project we discussed tonight. And then the second one is that freight elevator, because that affects the financial support that we get from the Friends of the Library. And the Friends are what make our programs happen. They don't, none of our fundings dollars from our stakeholders go to our programming. All of that is made possible through the Friends. We have a passenger elevator that gets traded like a freight elevator, and it loves to break down right before every Friends sale. Just to give us that the week of, just to give us our little pitter patter. So we don't have, well, we could hit fund balance if our elevator, the one elevator we have, dies, and it is limping along, and it could die.
Is a freight elevator more durable or?
Oh, no question.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's
No,
bigger, it can handle the
The weight
weight.
is the
Yeah.
difference, and the capacity,
The books are heavy.
and it will be a two-sided.
Yes,
I'll make a quick comment. I was gonna cover this later, but we are right on the cusp of needing to make decisions on moving forward on some of the stuff we're doing in the basement. We're working closely with Anjanae and moves, etc. But we also have a contractor or two looking at things like lights and outlets and things to facilitate the projects, the three major projects that are on the list that Andy's been working. So we're, we just need to be told, hold off for now. We'll do that.
Wanted to make sure there was no programming or small
Well,
things.
there are other programs that she is working on that we're going forward with, and that's the teen room, which is definitely going forward.
Okay, so what is it with so the other projects, there's a team room and there is the children's department. Anyone who is, any librarian who's come to our library and who works here long enough becomes aware that the children's department where it's at is a safety concern. We have children who can reach the push buttons and our children's librarian routinely runs out after them and pulls them back. It goes straight onto the greenway, which reaches a large body of water. And it's on top of a huge hill. I mean, we're really, you know. So one of the things that I was thinking about is when new leadership comes into place, this would be an ideal time for them to see if movement of department areas was needed. So that is why I have considered, and I let the foundation know, that I just want to give those projects some breathing room so that the new director can come in and assess, is this now time to move this? Because, you know, one of the things is like the children's area, we were gonna buy a majority of manipulative things for each developmental stage. Well, our COVID numbers locally are skyrocketing. So we're not gonna wanna put that out because that requires cleaning. So that one kind of naturally just, you know, if we buy it, we have to store it. It goes down into the basement, which I hope you guys take a tour of the basement. We are going to have, we could have a dance party. Oh, I do have the video, but
Unless you would like some upholstered furniture. You know anybody that would like some upholstered?
I do have video footage, but I'm conscious of the time. We had 42 tritone chairs picked up by the city of Maryville with the claw truck. We have footage. It was unbelievably cool. And the city of Maryville just said, yeah, we can do that. And they just said, have them out to us now. Anna and I realized that the maintenance team is worth their weight in gold because we helped move out those chairs.
How about the pallets?
And Dick, oh my goodness, and Dick. The pallets are still down
If
there.
anybody wants firewood, kindling, please pick it up. It's free and load it up into your car.
So
Law would come and get that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
they probably would. We're actually, Dick is a very handy man and he might be building movable cage-like structures to better contain our shelving graveyard down there so that it does not take the footprint that it currently has and it does not have the danger of, right now, everything is strategically placed. So, but if you start moving things, it starts to slide and it's a whole lot of starting to slide. So that is why with the foundation, we're just, those two projects, we're gonna reach out to Mr. Kelly and let him know where we're at and why. Because right now, Mr. Kelly is interested in seeing his donation go to a teen room, if that's what we would like. But that means we have children over here and youth services over here. I don't know if that's exactly fair to do to a new director. Does that make sense? Because you've now got to split staff from different sides of the building. So the allocation, yeah, we're gonna have to look at where our service desks are and that kind of thing. So thank you, and I'm sorry for that one.
Okay, any other questions on that? Angela? We're good? Okay. All right, Bruce?
I'll be very brief.
Friends?
I'll be very brief.
You still have a lot more to go, so go ahead.
Donations are very strong. We just had a sale in early September and we made $12,400. We had We tried a bag sale, which is very successful. We filled these bags that the library had ordered and given to us. We sold them for $5 a bag, and at one point there were 125 bags sold. So we had a very nice sale over 3 days.
And that's why the elevator is very important.
That's it. Electronic sales, our eBay group is still going very strong. Our paradigm is having to shift. We used to make the majority of our money via personal sales in the basement. Now, over half of our sales are being made electronically. And so the other thing, in fact, we're going to talk about it in our meeting next week, is we need to upgrade computers. So we've got some work to do there. I'll reiterate, and I think I just heard that we probably are not going to pursue the bathroom of the freight elevator right now.
Gonna keep going with that, believe me.
Oh, okay, because we're getting ready, and I just want to make that point. We'll probably be spending some money soon to redo lights or whatever. So I just want to make it clear that we're ready to prepare stuff.
Let me follow up on that, because we're still working with Chris Sorrow. We're still working with the architects to try to get blueprints and have that ready to go so that it will be here if we ever get it. For some reason, it's really been slow and like pulling teeth to try to get anything done. But the new director who comes in is going to have to live with it, because it's something that has to be done, whether it's done by our board or the interim director or the new director. It's something that has to be done, just like the elevator has to be done. There's just we can't keep going the way we're going. And so we have to get that. We have to get those drawings. They're not going to change if we ever get them. We just haven't gotten anything from them, and I don't understand why.
We have been in conversation with the county IT because electricity and communication drops would need to be added. But please understand that as the Friends plan and they get quotes, it won't be they're going down there and doing things without your approval or awareness. It will be brought to you. The Friends board may say, yes, this is what we want. This is the investment we want to make with our money. And they'll let us know the impact that it'll have on the building. And then once they get the tick, it'll be brought to you guys for review.
The elevator can't go anywhere other than where it's planned. The bathrooms cannot go anywhere other than where it's planned. So it doesn't make any difference. It's still going to go to the same place. It just has to. It physically cannot go anywhere else.
Thank you. I'm done.
Okay. All right, Liz, I'm sorry. Thanks for coming, Liz.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here with you all. Yes, I'm terribly sorry I wasn't able to be at the last meeting. I would have rather been here than where I was. Because my husband was in the hospital. So yes, I'll be brief. You all can read everything. Our biggest news, of course, and I sent another reminder email again today, is the trustee workshop that is occurring next Tuesday. You can register if you can't attend the live event, you can register to receive a link to the recording afterwards. But please go on and register and let us know that, because that's an option that you can select on that Google Doc.
Let me ask you a question on that. We would like to do a Zoom meeting from here.
Sure.
For anyone who wants to come, who is registered. That's not a problem for you?
No. In fact, I think in the first email I sent last week, if you're the one who's hosting that, if you're going to do that, I think register everybody individually, but use the host's email address so that then you receive the link and everybody can get there. And I'm sure we'll be taking attendance too, but we'll probably ask for folks to enter in the name, whoever's here, the name of the chat or whatever, and you all can.
With regards to sunshine law, do we need to post that there is going to be a trustees workshop or because it's educational?
Right, we've never done that. I think that's come up before. I mean, it's pretty much one-way interaction and it's trustee education for everybody. It's not a meeting that you all are deciding, making decisions and doing that kind of thing with each
So
other.
discussion of library business may come up from something they learn, but because there's no decisions.
Right, but it's mainly one way where you all are on the receiving end of the information.
Do people come in here and sit without registering?
Well, it's mainly meant for library board members. And they would need to register to attend so we can give them credit for attending. If it's trustees.
And so what we're doing is for the library board who would like to attend, if you don't want to do it on your device and you want to come in, we have Sharon Lawson booked from 10 to 3:30. Again, please register individually. Anna will register for us so that we can play it here. And then we'll just have a sign-in sheet, so you guys can just sign your name and we can make sure that that gets to Liz to make sure.
I think they want to register with the host email. So I'm pretty sure that's what they wanted us to do. That's how they wanted us to do that. So you all may want to get a list of who all wants to be here and register them, but register them with whatever host email you're utilizing.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to remember that email. I've sent so many emails since then,
I
but I'm pretty
understand
sure
that.
that that's how they wanted us to do that.
Because, I was just thinking if, say, all of them want to sign up, then they have access to the recording. So if they can only stay an hour in person on site, then they still have access to the recording that will come later. Whereas if we do it only,
They'll still get it.
they will, okay.
Because my feeling proposal was that we send it to everybody, because you never know if somebody registers live and they can't attend that day, something comes up, then everybody has access to it. And it should be on Niche Academy. And I think we just wanted to get an idea of how many people would attend live versus how many wanted to view the recording at a later date. So that way we kind of have an idea, because we actually had Zoom licenses that only allowed for 300 people max. And so we had to purchase a temporary extension since it's going throughout the whole state. So, because we could have way more than 300 people in attendance. Because it's the one time that we're doing it, as opposed to 4. Normally we have those in 4 different sections.
If I could ask all the board members to email Anna and let her know if they would like to or plan to attend, or you can see her after the meeting, whatever you've got time for. And that way we know how to register you. And just want to confirm, that's Eastern Standard Time.
It is. That is why we're operating a little later, because we had to take into account the whole state, both time zones. So to start them at 9, we have to start at 10. So yes. That's the most I have, unless anybody else has any questions, that was the
Okay, any
main.
questions on that or on the work session? Okay, thanks, Liz. All right, let's go on to quickly to old business. Stephanie, would you give
Very
us an update?
quickly, we met yesterday, the search committee met yesterday and interviewed 4 candidates. Tomorrow, we will be interviewing 3 more candidates. On next Monday, we will be meeting to narrow that down to 3 or 4 to bring to the board. And we will get information to you all ahead of time about their resumes and all of that information. Keep in mind that October 14 and 15 is when the candidates will be here. So kind of put those dates aside as much as you can. The important time for you to be is on the 15th at 11 o'clock, because that afternoon is when you will be interviewing. The board will be interviewing the candidates on that afternoon. There are some other things that will be scheduled, and I'll get you that schedule as soon as we meet on Monday and get it narrowed down. It's going to be 3 or 4. So that schedule could change, so we will wait until Monday to get that to you.
And the 14th, which is a Thursday, at 7 o'clock, you are all invited to a dinner, which we are paying for at Amici's with the candidates.
Yes.
So
Typical to have all candidates together. That seems a bit odd.
That's the way they've always done it. I mean, that's the way it was done in the previous search where
Interesting.
now you're not interviewing them all together, but you just have
we'll be sitting
them.
at tables of 4
Yeah.
to 5, with one candidate at each table.
It's like speed dating, except it's with a library.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's no.
There's also a community reception on Thursday afternoon from 4:30 to 6, and we've decided not to have refreshments just because of the COVID situation and all of that.
Give you an idea of the, you said you're gonna be, 17.
4 so far.
We have 3 more tomorrow night.
4, 3 tomorrow.
Tell me who they were.
Count one.
Can you tell them who they were that we've already interviewed?
Sure.
Yes.
And
I can tell you.
Meg Harrison, Jennifer Baxter,
Yes.
Darlene Alisi, and Trent Reynolds.
yes.
They're all from Tennessee.
No,
No,
One
no,
is-
none of them
one
are
is
from Tennessee.
Tennessee, 2 are from Georgia, and 1 is from Alabama.
Alabama. Pardon?
Jennifer Baxter.
It's from Alabama.
There's a Jennifer Baxter in Spear County.
Okay, that's
That's our Facebook stalker.
The 3 tomorrow night, 1 is from Foxborough, Massachusetts, 1 is from Texas, and I'm not sure where the other one is from.
Yep,
I still want that, yes.
okay, so
Are they willing to,
I
do-
want
are
that
they
money.
giving any moving transportation? Any moving assistance?
Are we giving them any moving
Yeah.
assistance?
Would they-
We haven't talked about that yet.
I've not gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
Committee's done an excellent job, and it's taken an extreme
I know, I
amount of
thank you for
time.
all your time.
A lot of time, and they've, it's been a good experience, but it has taken a lot of time.
a lot.
But
Yeah.
please, brag.
One and done. I didn't volunteer, I got voluntold. Remember,
Those
Susan?
days are imperative for you guys to be.
Yeah, it is, and be there. And
Yes.
part of that is the staff interviewing the candidates, and if y'all can be there when the staff is interviewing the candidates, I know they're gonna have some really good questions, and as much involvement as you can have in this whole process, I think you'll get a better idea about the candidates. What he's saying.
On what day?
PM Thursday.
I got an 11 AM on Friday the 15th.
Yeah,
So there's gonna be a
You
couple
are.
of things happening. We'll send out the schedule, and that way,
On
keep an eye on that,
Tuesday
so
of
that way
next
it'll be
week.
finalized.
You will have a schedule Tuesday of next week, because that time we will know how many candidates that we will have.
If you can put yourself on
Walk
vacation
those
for
2
those 2
days.
days, that'd be great. It's full of fun.
I know, I was like, I'm already.
I know, I have it blocked out and someone scheduled something, I'm like.
Okay, anything else, Jeff?
That's it.
Okay, we have a bookmark cafe health policy that you all saw. I hope you saw it. Are there any questions about it? It's new. So we're just putting it out for you. So
It's good.
I think-
so that you have it. We don't have to, we have to vote on this.
It is.
So, yeah, it's
It
the
is?
amendments that we're recommending or suggesting are on the back.
All right, so do I have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, put this in your folder also. Okay, display and signage policy.
Y'all did an excellent job on those recommendations for this one.
Let's table that for the next time. Rules of conduct and governing of the Blount County Library. We want to talk about that or table that for the next time.
Do we, as far as tabling that, do we want to move forward with that or? No, sorry.
You're gonna table it, is that what you said?
The sign.
What do you,
Or do you have it?
does,
Okay,
yeah, so
Okay.
so the recommendations or the suggested amendments are on the back of or at the bottom of, if you're looking at it electronically. You'll have the current policy that we have and then the suggestions for revision.
yeah.
So,
Any discussion on that? Has everyone had a chance to look at it? Any discussion on it? And we have a motion to accept the policy agreement. Second,
Second.
any opposed? Carries. Thank you.
all right. I like these guys are getting it done.
Use of the children's department.
Okay. So public use of the children,
Go ahead.
any discussion?
I had two, just very briefly, distribution or posting of printed materials, I think should be distributing. And solicitation should be soliciting. I think just to keep the format. I'm on the right one.
Oh, we were looking at the public use of
Oh,
children.
sorry.
I'm sorry to tell you what she was talking about.
Okay, gotcha.
She was on that page right there.
Yeah. So it's the tinier one, public use of children's area. And the comments, if you printed it, are on the back, or if you're looking electronically, just scroll down.
But what was your suggestion on that section that you made the comment about? Patrons not included in these categories may be required to leave the children's area and use other areas. What are you suggesting that be? I was a little confused about that.
Unattended adult or the adult that don't have a mind.
What?
Oh, that was
Sorry.
a comment that one of our managers made on it.
Yeah.
And she was just letting you know that in the sentence where we say patrons not included in the categories may be required to leave the children's area and any other. And she's just letting you know what other libraries do. They actually have a separate policy that addresses unattended adults in the children's area. What we've done is kind of addressed it in here, where we say,
They
it's
don't
also,
want adults hanging around.
yeah,
And
it
the
is
children's
also,
department doing nothing except looking.
so that paragraph is just, the input from one of our admin planning team members. I didn't make any changes to that, so I just want you to know what other staff are
Okay.
including in it.
I didn't understand that.
I feel we cover it in this policy by the second paragraph, third sentence, where it states, it is also for use by patrons who are accessing the special materials contained into the children's collection. Patrons not included in these categories may be required to leave the children's area and use other areas in the library.
So you're saying just leave it like that?
That would be my recommendation. We can create another policy or flush it out where it says you must have a child with you if you don't have a
No,
child with
no,
you.
no, no,
Exactly.
because if the teacher's back there looking for
Yeah,
something,
exactly.
then you don't want to discourage, because I've done that before.
Yes.
Gone back there and looked for, like a book on tape or whatever.
That's
to
exactly
use.
right.
So,
And
yeah, you don't
what-
want to do that.
No,
I'm not I wasn't creeping on the kids.
What we're trying to accomplish with this policy is to make sure we don't have adults loitering
Yes,
in the back
yes.
corners or not
Yes.
maybe doing anything nefarious. It's just, hey, maybe they love the sound of blocks falling or a beautifully screaming child expressing themselves, not
Yeah.
wanting to leave the library.
Okay, I was just confused about their recommendations and that, those two pictures, so I'm good.
I'm
with the
sorry
way
about that.
this-
I'll
yeah,
clarify that in our next.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I make a motion, we approve.
Is there a second? Okay. Any opposed? Okay, carries. Moving right along. I think that's the last one.
I don't think we did the rules of conduct.
Yeah, we need to do the rules of conduct, and that's the last one.
Okay. Where is that?
Rules of conduct. looks like
That's
that.
that one that said. That's the one I was talking about, just for formatting.
Thank you.
Distributing instead of distribution and soliciting instead of solicitation. Okay. Soliciting of library, and that was just formatting. Let's see where it is.
There's
That
a
makes sense,
compelling
yeah.
reason to say, change the first paragraph, but I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, discussion on this one. Is that your area, Steph?
So I just, before, Susan, you did say something there. I think this is the time, if any, please.
No, I said I didn't really see a need to change the first paragraph, and what was added was it's a safe place in the community to discuss and exchange ideas and perspectives. And I mean, why is that? It's already safe, but you don't talk in a library anyway, generally, but I think it's just important to be respectful. And it seems a little bit safe place. It's not a big deal. It's just like, why would we have a safe place? It's safe to speak anywhere, I think. I mean, people don't have guns out.
Legislation's changed. You might be surprised.
But I mean,
I think is this,
okay.
are you extending this to the meeting rooms and so forth?
What is it? What we are trying to do is let people know that this is a place for dialogue. This is a place, and yes, it does matter if, if you're a Democrat, you can come here and have your meeting. If you're a Republican, you can come here and have your meeting. If you are fill in the blank, this is a space where your beliefs will be respected. And as well as it doesn't infringe on others' beliefs and the way that they respect it. It needs to do it being done in a civil manner. So we don't have to change
well, the first paragraph says a public forum where everyone receives respectful, courteous, and informative customer service. So I mean, fine. If you feel a need to add it, that's fine.
I think it's okay. I think safe is a good word.
That makes me feel safe.
Discussion on it?
I mean,
Feelings change?
Feeling on it,
I make a motion that we keep it as is.
That paragraph,
Would the change, would the
Do
just
change or
two,
not change?
with the,
Not change.
with the minor changes that
but talk about before we, bullet point 5, under prohibited behaviors is confusing. That was your comment. Not sure what instances this is trying to cover.
So that's the one that's 3 lines long. Engaging
It's
in,
about 2 sentences too long.
yeah,
It needs to, almost needs to stop after it says use of public library facilities. Period. Not even put the rest of that sentence or take it out altogether.
I have to admit, when myself and the other, the admin planning team reviewed it, we were like, what's it
What does
referring,
that
what's
mean?
it trying to
maybe
cover?
it's a catch-all, I think.
Yeah.
It seems a little too vague and too general, and you could almost apply it to,
But that could be why it's there.
right, maybe you do need a catch-all.
So that's saying if you're sitting in a reading area, if we deemed that you didn't need to work on your computer there, we could say, well, it's in the policy. I don't know if we need that much control,
It
really.
gives you a lot of flexibility.
It gives you
Something-
flexibility.
I think it does. I think it's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
I don't think you want to go policing, and you probably wouldn't, but if
I don't
it's,
think you can. but
it's if you needed.
We're gonna keep that one. Okay. Basically, we're not gonna make
Exactly.
any changes except the children age section after the first paragraph, or maybe we don't change that either. Which is good.
Ladies,
I think there was.
I'm good, I'm okay.
okay. More discussion on this?
Sounds like we're just leaving it like it is.
So leave it like it is, motion. Second. It's your motion.
oh, it's my motion.
Second, thank you.
So no changes.
So no changes
All in
except
Just
the
two
two,
words.
the grammar.
Just the
Just
grammar.
the grammar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Thank you.
I love it.
Okay, moving into the new business, public records request discussion. That's FOIA. Is there any discussion on public records? You can come and look. That came up because of the gentleman several months ago, which we have answered. We did file and we did respond to him, and hopefully that's behind us and we don't have to worry about it. We did send him a bill also for the time and effort involved in answering it, which is legal. So hear that.
Appreciate the staff's
Yeah.
effort on that and keeping us
Yes.
involved with that, so
Yes.
really much appreciate it.
In the interest of complete thoroughness, it's not terribly important, but I did read, he had a lot of questions for the Maryville City Police Department. I did not see that response, and like, I didn't see the responses. I didn't know if that was included or not.
Not in our.
We do not address, yeah, and
We have no idea.
in our FOIA request, he didn't include that
No, he
element.
didn't.
No.
Okay.
So,
It was just in the email, his general statement
Right.
email.
Yes, sir.
Blount County.
No comments.
But it was.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, that's that. COVID response discussion. Any response on that? One of the things that I do want to talk about is our hours. I will take about 2 seconds to cover the amount of COVID that's going on in Blount County is horrendous. I do not see, or I would not want to see our hours change and expand for the rest of this year, if that's okay with the board. So I don't know whether you want to take a motion on that, or would you want to just
What's the
discuss it?
maintenance of effort requirement, Liz, with the state?
As
At this
far as I
point.
know, it's the same that it's been. We're still in a pandemic. So as long as the closures are due to COVID and COVID related, then that's acceptable.
Yeah, we're not affected. We're not affected.
And you will let us know if that changes, won't you?
They will let me know.
That's all we need.
I will let
That's
you
all
know.
we need.
I've been reporting, that there was a timeline that you all were gonna look at in October, but I know that currently, as far as I know, we don't have any libraries in our region that have pulled back in any phases. Everybody's been kind of full on, but that could change. They've asked us to start tracking monthly reports again for our libraries to ask them how many hours they're offering, if they pulled back, anything like that. So,
Okay, that's good.
There was some discussion a while ago that we would, in September, go back to our regular hours. I'm asking the board not to go along with that we would maintain the hours that we're maintaining now.
I don't think the Delta variant was even around when we discussed that.
So is that okay? You want a motion for that? You want to just say that's our policy?
I always love emotion.
Motions, okay.
What do we?
Could somebody state a motion
I think we need to.
I don't think we need a motion.
I don't think
I mean,
so
I think
either.
if we just stay with what we
Yeah.
have until we hear something different from the state where we were forced to change, or when,
Okay,
until we
well,
want to change.
How about a motion that we maintain the hours that we're doing now for the rest of the year unless we are informed by the state that we have to change our hours?
Sounds good.
Is that okay? Do I have a second to that? All right, all in favor of that? Okay, any opposed?
Can we put something about in regards to COVID, due to COVID? Right, not much. Just to cover us with the MOE because it's based on, it has to be.
Oh,
because of COVID.
absolutely, and we have that, we have.
Due
that.
to increasing numbers in Blount County,
Yes.
the board will keep library operation hours
Yeah.
at 57.
All right, so you will adjust the motion to that, to reflect
She's
that.
got it.
Okay, thank you.
And very quickly, I just want to put on everybody's radar in August of 2020, we approved a COVID response. And we have been very fortunate that COVID has not touched our library family. So that was me knocking on wood, by the way, if you were wondering. And so I just want to put it back on your radar. On page 3, it says amended library service plan in the event of reducing staff. And it talks what happens about what the library is going to do if 6 staff are out due to COVID, if 9 staff are out due to COVID, and if 12 staff are out due to COVID. So I just wanted to let you know, we do have that policy in place and it will be implemented. Hopefully we won't ever have to touch it, knock on wood. But I just wanted to put it back on your radar. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's been a long meeting and thank you very much. I want to say thank you for participating. Because in so many meetings in previous library boards, we have had very little participation or comment, and I just really appreciate everybody here speaking their mind. Yes, ma'am.
Before we end on the COVID thing, I'm a little concerned about the staff responses. I know everyone wants to go, but I just briefly, with what everyone says, and it seems like a lot of people don't feel safe, et cetera. I just want I don't need to hear it all. Make sure you're talking with them. You guys are working through that. And you guys shared that with us, all of those responses, and just making sure that people have masks or you're putting them in places where they feel comfortable.
So our library staff does have a mask mandate. They are required to wear a mask while at work. They are asked to be mindful of the body language that their fellow employees are interacting with them. If they notice someone backing up, we have asked them to consider the fact that we don't know the health situations of their immediate family, their extended family that they may visit, so we need to err on the side of judgment because we've already lost one family member to this. So we are that sheet goes live and then gets shut down right before every board meeting so that you're getting a running tally of what the current feel of the staff is.
And I think just as a side note, I know for the city of Alcoa, we have the mask mandate as well. When if you're in your office, you can take the mask off, but the minute you stand up and you go somewhere, you don the mask, and we do request all visitors to put a mask. So it is kind of, across the board. So,
They have instituted the spacing again.
Okay, good. That's it.
We have masks available at the desks
And thank you.
throughout the library.
That is one thing we do have the masks available. We have started taking seating back downstairs. We have rolly seating available so it can move around and adjust. However, we are still currently allowing group study. And that is not something we did before. So in our our study rooms, which are free and open to the public, they can fit 6 people, one of them 8. I would like the board's input on if it would be time to say, okay, group study is not allowed.
Well, we're having school.
Yeah, I
And
mean, let them
I-
decide. if they're gonna
Let
do
them
it.
decide, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
that's something that we need to micromanage, cause I'm sitting in a classroom with 30 kids.
Yeah,
And they're all wearing masks, right?
And we're not, there's not one
Social
of us,
distancing.
and there's no social distancing.
well,
So I say that's a personal thing.
Okay.
Okay,
That's a personal thing.
thank you for that.
There's
That was
one-
something.
I mean,
that
that's my opinion.
One last thing before I ask for the adjournment, that's to talk about Sunday. Right now, the library has employees who come in every Sunday and work, even though we're not open. Because we have groups who want to rent the library or participate here in the library, church groups who have said that they would like to come to the library, and we have groups of up to 10
When they show up.
when they show up. They pay $10 to the library to come, be able to come in here for 2 hours.
Let me
I mean,
update.
the library's closed.
I know you
Yeah.
guys approved that.
Okay, so this was something that was implemented early COVID, and it was us trying to get any kind of revenue back on the board. Since then, staffing levels have changed. We have seen, we have one maintenance person who has been out on FMLA. And what happened was we had a youth services person who has recently resigned, and that has made that system fall apart.
Not because of this.
Yeah, I have touched, yes, she's staying home to take care of family members. So she was happy here. She's gonna come back and volunteer. Anyway, there are safety issues that we were having, and we did the cost analysis of how much money are we bringing in versus how much money we're spending. And it just isn't worth it. So full transparency, the churches have paid in advance and we'll have to refund that. It will be $1,680. Seems like a lot, but it's not. So.
We had to do the same thing at the chamber. I mean, like everybody else, we all work beyond our work hours, and right now it's just running us down, and we're having to come in at 6 in the morning or to open it up, particularly for some church groups and in the evening, and we had to put an end to it. And we want to be a place for the community, just like you guys. But it has to be within reasonable
What our
hours.
capacity
Yeah.
is, yeah.
And you're not counting those towards MOE hours. Because you're not open to, okay.
That's right.
No,
Good.
it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was
that's
just to clarify, because
Yeah.
it's
No,
not,
this
I mean,
So
those
we-
are open to the public hours, not anything.
Yeah.
That's right. That is absolutely
Okay.
right, isn't it?
Just
If
making
you
sure.
feel your staff overruns, definitely not the time.
Could you offer a compromise to some of those groups to let them rebook at a different time or something like that, instead of just
They are-
completely canceling them outright?
Well, what is it? Yes, if there's availability, we absolutely will encourage them to move to a different day.
Right.
It is just with where we're at right now.
Right.
We're not getting ROI.
We're not getting anything.
Yeah.
Except cost.
Yeah, I mean, if you need a motion, I don't think that we should be doing anything outside of.
That is actually just information. It's procedural, but I wanted to let you know that this was a change that, because prior to that, oh goodness, so Casey was still around, and this is when probably when we went to 57 hours. That this was like, okay, we're gonna keep the meeting rooms open as long as, or available as much as possible, so we can get as much revenue in.
But if it's not paying for the people to be
No,
there, that's
no,
not revenue.
$10 is not revenue, and we have
Yeah.
to maintain a minimum of 2 hours per employee for 3 employees. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're also not opening at other hours that are not normal hours for the library for other groups.
That is exactly right, yes.
So that's outside the realm of, you can have other groups come in and say, well, they can come in on Sunday. Why can't we be here at 9 o'clock at night on the other? So that's.
Yeah.
That's.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? You're all on board with saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Anybody opposed to that?
I have a public comment.
Okay,
Thank you, board, for permitting us a presence in the library. I can report to you that on average, we have seen one walk-in per week since January 1st, which does not sound like a whole heck of a lot. But because of the awareness and exposure we have gotten at the library, we've been able to work with 134 Blount Countyans dealing with homelessness. 57 of those have been moved into case management. 26 have been housed.
That's
So
correct.
Thank you. Engineering staff and board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to know.
Thanks-
Thank you.
Thanks
That is
for
good
bringing
to
that
know.
up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good to know.
That's
We're
great.
happy to answer questions, give you numbers anytime you need.
That's great.
Good. You want to come again?
Pardon?
Come again?
Yeah.
Okay.